Never.
Okay. Okay. All right, by my watch, it is 4:30, so I'll call to order the June 13th, 2024 Library Board of Trustees meeting for the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library. The first item of business, and I spoke to our visitors, and we've got a lot of them this evening, so we're thankful for that, that our public takes interest in what we do at the library. We generally allot 15 minutes for public comment, and I believe I have approximately 8 folks that want to speak. So doing the math, and math's not my strong suit, that's just a little under 2 minutes each. So I will take them in the order they're sitting on my desk. And if you want to yield time to somebody or whatever, that's fine, but we'll limit it to 15 minutes. So Lanny Etheridge. Come on up to the mic. Please state your name for the record and basically your street address, just so we can put it in minutes.
Okay. My name is Lanny Etheridge, and my street address is 10615 Schaefer Road. I just want to say thank you to the library. Evansville, the EVPL has many programs throughout the year that celebrate the diverse people and interests that make up our community. In addition to being enjoyable, these programs provide the opportunity for participants to learn more about people who are different than themselves, people with different backgrounds, beliefs, and cultures. LGBTQ individuals have faced a history of wrongful discrimination, and unfortunately still do. But Evansville is for everyone. Our former Republican mayor respected and supported the rights of LGBTQ people in our community. Our present Democrat mayor does too. Evansville has an annual Pride Parade supported by businesses in our community. People who identify as LGBTQ are members of our local faith organizations. The public library has very appropriately observed Pride Month and provided activities related thereto. And that is, I want to thank them for highlighting the experience of this part of our community and for celebrating these members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Coors.
She was so nice. You know, I may not be that nice. I'm just kidding. So I was told by the folks behind me, some of them, that the library was being asked to remove the Pride exhibit and to ban LGBTQ plus themed works in your library. And I want to tell you, board, that I would support banning one book in particular. It's called Out in Evansville, an LGBTQ history of River City. You can pick it up at your brother's bookstore, Barnes and Noble, River City Mercantile. You can order on Amazon, $23.99. I called the publisher today, and the publisher told me that my rep told me that if a book is banned, that it can increase its sales somewhere between 80 and 120%. So I would encourage you to leave the Pride exhibit, to leave LGBTQ books in the library, except this one. I would appreciate if you would ban it. You have 9 copies. I understand it got quite a lot of circulation last year, so I would be happy to take those to Willard if you wanted to take it out of this library. You know, Willard was the only integrated library until 1952. So I'm sure that they would welcome 9 more copies of this little book, which you can pick up at your brother's bookstore, Barnes and Noble, or order on Amazon for $23.99. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure whether I should thank you or not, Kelly. I'm not sure I've ever seen this form used as a sales pitch. Adam Morris.
First off, I want to thank Kelly for the plug. My name is Adam Morris, and I am the owner of Your Brother's Bookstore, which carries Kelly's book. So today I want to emphasize the critical role that all of us have in fostering inclusivity and safety for everyone, especially within our LGBT community and the members, our LGBTQ members, and especially during this month. We want to acknowledge and praise the library for doing everything that they currently do to lift up the community and supporting all people through whatever month it is, whether it's your Black History Month or Women's Appreciation Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, anything. We appreciate everything that you guys do. Specifically, we want to recognize the support that the library shows to the LGBTQ community. Since our organizations cross paths so regularly, we've come to know many library employees and people that work specifically with the library. There is a noticeable number of people that work here that are members of the LGBTQ community. Those simple displays that you guys put out are incredibly important for building morale and encouraging the concept of a happy employee is an effective employee, and encouraging them to be themselves and be comfortable is incredibly important. With that in mind, I would also like to remind the board that all of these meetings are put out publicly, archived, and are going to be around forever. People are going to be coming back to these meetings. There are also incidences where we've noticed a sort of lack of appreciation for library staff and people from specifically members of the board who are not even here right now. But in the past fall, we noticed that there was a vote for making sure that everybody got paid for the Employee Appreciation Day, and that one person voted to not make sure that they were paid. That is not good for morale. We just want to encourage the board to take a second and reflect on what they're doing, how they're going about things, what they're saying to people, how they're portraying themselves and things. And we want to encourage you to be more like these displays, inclusive, and we encourage you to be better. Thank you.
Karen Edwards.
My name's Karen Edwards, and I'm the author of the book, My Kid's Gay and I'm Okay. While I recognize and respect every parent's right to decide what literature their child will read, I do not agree with a parent or an individual having the right to remove literature or topic that another parent deems appropriate for their family. Someone seeking answers or trying to identify who they are might come to this library. This person already feels isolated and alone. And finding books with stories about other LGBTQ plus members can reassure them they are not alone and help them find needed resources for support and guidance. I also believe LGBTQ plus literature can help straight people educate themselves in understanding and respecting this minority group, thus creating more allies and less enemies. Do not remove LGBTQ literature from this establishment, and do not stop celebrating Pride in the month of June. Today, I proudly stand as an ally with this community, and I'm donating my book to this library. Thank you.
Yvonne Lauren.
Hi there. My name is Yvonne Lauren. I'm president of Warwick County Pride, founder of the first group. I and some people founded that back in the 80s. And sitting over there is Emil, who founded RCP. I've been doing this a long time. I didn't take time to prepare. I've been unloading a Pride truck. I cannot tell you how important these events are. When I leave here, I'm going to out of town Pride events. And we're not going anywhere. And the surest way to get a kid to read a book is to ban it. That is true. I tried to think of something really, really important to say, and I just know that there's enough people here now that are going to stand to what they need to do to keep prides going. It's not going away. You don't hide that sort of thing. We have to learn about each other's cultures. And I'm really, really tired because I've been doing prides for 4 days. I just want you all to see the importance to pride and that we can't ban what each other has to say or has to think or any of this. It's just not right. I had a number of conversations with people who are educating kids over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And when I leave here, I'm going to a meeting to talk to some more folks about grants and young people. And that's all I can give you today, because as I said, I'm tired. I'm not to the point I'm seeing rainbows yet, but I will be by the end of the month. Thank you all very kindly. Stand up for what you believe in.
Kendra Hines.
Hi, friends. My name is Kendra Hines. I believe earlier you asked for our addresses. Is that still happening? It's on my form, so you should be fine.
Say 'em just for reference.
Say it. I'm 1771 Eastwood Ave. Emil and I also work together. We represent the Doubletree by Hilton here in downtown Evansville, a very large economic partner here. So I just have some things to say, and it's going to be a little longer than some of my friends, but I think some of them cut themselves short, so I should be fine. Hi, friends. Thank you for coming. Libraries have always been more than just repositories of books. They are the heart of our communities. They're places where knowledge is shared, ideas are exchanged, and understanding is fostered. Including gay pride displays in our libraries is not merely about celebrating LGBTQ+ identities. It's about affirming the principles of equality and acceptance that are fundamental to a just and inclusive society. Gay pride displays highlight the rich diversity of the human experience and identity. They serve as a visual and educational reminder that our community is made up of individuals from all walks of life, each deserving of respect and recognition. By showcasing LGBTQ+ literature, history, and culture, we promote understanding and acceptance, breaking down the barriers of ignorance and prejudice. For many LGBTQ+ individuals, especially young people, representation can be life-changing. Seeing their identities reflected in public spaces like libraries can foster a sense of belonging and self-worth. It signals to them that they're not alone and that their community supports them. This visibility can provide comfort and encouragement, helping to combat feelings of isolation and marginalization. The statistics surrounding LGBTQ+ youth are alarming and highlight the urgent need for support and visibility. According to the Trevor Project, LGBTQ+ youth are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide compared to their heterosexual peers. Furthermore, nearly 40% of LGBTQ youth have seriously considered suicide in the past year, and of those youths, 120%, those youths are 120% more likely to experience homelessness than their non-LGBTQ+ peers. These young people often find themselves without stable housing due to family rejection, discrimination, and other societal pressures. Libraries serve as safe havens for these at-risk youth, and the pride displays serve as beacons of hope during their most challenging years. Libraries are institutions of learning, right? Gay pride displays offer an opportunity to educate the broader community about the history, struggles, and contributions of the LGBTQ+ community. This education is crucial in combating stereotypes, misinformation, and fostering empathy, building a more informed and compassionate community. Guys, the fact that we're here today discussing this proves this point. We shouldn't be talking about removing these displays or scaling back. We should be brainstorming about how to make them bigger. On a broader scale, inclusion aligns with the legal and ethical standards of non-discrimination. Public institutions, including libraries, have a responsibility to serve all members of the community fairly and without bias. Ensuring that LGBTQ+ individuals feel seen and supported is a fundamental part of this mandate. Lastly, I know, right? I want to touch on a topic that everyone can relate to: money. Evansville, downtown specifically, needs to be a welcoming community and a safe haven for everyone. Actions like this have a statistical probability of extending beyond just one instance. Translation: this will spread. And a lack of inclusivity can heavily impact our marketability as a travel destination, which would wreak absolute havoc on the progress that we've worked so hard to build here. To be clear, friends, we cannot afford this. We cannot afford it morally. We cannot afford it financially, and we cannot afford it as a community. Gay pride displays in Evansville libraries are more than just symbols. They're affirmations of our shared humanity, representing our commitment to a community where everyone's valued and accepted. Let's embrace this opportunity to foster understanding, support one another, and celebrate the beautiful diversity that enriches our lives here in our tiny river city. Remember, E is for everyone.
Liam Douglas.
Hello, thank you. My name is Liam Douglas, address 1906 Shelby. I would like to thank the board for their time today on this topic. As a former vice president of River City Pride, a member of the LGBTQ plus community, performer here locally for 14 years. I also had a backpack and school supply program for kids and youth. Reading is fundamental for not only kids, but kids on different spectrums. I also work with kids on the autism spectrum. But the pride display is more than just something that you guys put up. I don't think you guys know how empowered it makes not only the youth feel, but as somebody, as an adult who has lived in Evansville their whole life, being able to see that visibility in that hallway when you walk in speaks volumes to not only the youth, but the adults in our community. When you go into a place, especially a public place, you feel more comfortable when you see things or things that apply to you. And that also not only sparks a fire in kids to want to learn and read, they use these books as resources, as comfort, and as my friend said, because she nailed it all, but LGBT youth are more likely to be homeless. They are more likely to experience discrimination, bullying, issues with their job and their home lives. And for reading, for everybody, is an escape. You can go anywhere in a book. So to find that education and find that safety saves lives. And we have already made a good amount of progress here. I enjoyed my time very much with RCP because I got to change the narrative in Evansville. We have a top surgeon now. We have endocrinologists. We have literature in the hallway of a public library that is most visited in Evansville. And I think that is very, very important to not only keep those displays visible, but also to make it bigger, to also continue that education not only to the public, but to your staff. So when they do interact with LGBT people, whether that be youth or adults, that they know have those resources. I thank you guys for your time.
And I believe it says Dawn Schwindel. Was it anywhere close
What's that?
on your pronunciation?
You did, you
Okay.
did. Hi, thank you for having us, and my name is Dawn Schwindel. I am the current president of River City Pride. During the day, I work as a senior vice president of enterprise risk at Heritage Federal Credit Union, and appreciate you taking the time to hear me and others talk about this important topic. First and foremost, I want to thank EVPL for their support. I know that you have had vendor booths in our Pride Festival that we just had on June 1st. And also want to just say thank you for all of the programs and displays and everything that you've dedicated to Pride generally. You've heard a lot of really great comments and all true, by the way, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach here. I took some time to go out to the EVPL website and just wanted to sort of get familiar with your mission, your vision, and also saw that your 2024 through 2027 strategic plan is posted, which, by the way, is very nicely put together. So I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from your mission, your vision, as well as your strategic plan, so I can circle back to the topic that we're discussing today. Your mission is, I quote, "We cultivate curiosity by creating wonder." Your vision, quote, is "Communities united through shared exploration and understanding." You have several goals under open dialogues. These particular goals align with our community, the LGBTQ plus community. Quote, create, retain, and grow partnerships with diverse community members, leaders, and organizations about EVPL programs, services, and outreach efforts. Quote, build opportunities for intentional feedback, input, and assessment from customers, leaders, staff, and partners. Quote, transparently share themes and initiatives that demonstrate inclusivity of thought and life experiences. Quote, increase community awareness and enhance marketing and public relations efforts to drive circulation, attendance, programming, and cardholder statistics. Quote, offer more conversational programming that allows for civil discourse and opportunities to learn from others through open communication. Within this page also, I thought that this was a really important key point that I want to read here again today because I feel like it's relevant. You mentioned that in the U.S. Surgeon General's advisory on the healing effects of social connection and community, the Surgeon General advises that community-based organizations create opportunities and spaces for inclusive social connection and establish programs that foster positive and safe relationships, including among individuals of different ages, backgrounds, viewpoints, and life experiences. One of your other pillars is open minds. Again, alignment to what we're focused on today and Pride more generally. Quote, work closely with local schools to share resources, support teachers, educators, and provide students with library cards and resources. Quote, promote and encourage active reading, watching, listening across genres, authors, and formats to enhance learning about others and the world around us. Quote, gather and analyze community data to aid in decision-making. And quote, be an institution that commits to organizational continuous learning and improvement, learning about our community's needs, the residents, and how we can better, our organization to serve our community. Lastly, community needs. There is a sentence in here that I thought was relevant. Many survey respondents addressed what they perceive as an eroding sense of community due to polarizing political opinions and lack of interpersonal communication. As you all know, there's many aspects of our community. More relevant today is our transgender community who is suffering a lot of damage and pain resulting from recent legislative efforts. And so I read all of this to you and make a point to be very clear on this is that you all are doing the right thing. Not only are you doing the right thing for our community, but you're also doing the right thing to successfully execute your strategic plan. I think anything different or anything preventing or taking feedback from others, whomever they may be, to stop displays and stop advocating, it just really goes against the basic tenets of librarianship, which should focus on inclusivity, acceptance, tolerance. And in doing so, it invests in your overall goal of ensuring that you have a community of literacy within the individuals that make up our community. So with that, I would just say, again, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. On behalf of River City Pride, we're always welcome to help in any way that we can. Reach out. Again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
So I believe that concludes our public commentary. Thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate it. It's always good to hear what the community's thinking about the activities and the ongoings at the Evansville Public Library. I personally am very proud of everything we do here. So thanks for that vote of confidence. Moving on, consent agenda. I hear a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Packet. Oh, sorry. You don't have hands back there?
Not sure if you heard a motion, but. Here.
So
Second.
moved.
So there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Governance, preliminary general obligation bond resolution. So this preliminary bond resolution establishes the maximum amount to be borrowed maximum term repayment, and maximum interest rate. Anything that you want to add? Lauren?
No, I think it's, if they read through it, it's pretty detailed.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
You need a roll call vote.
Excuse me, sir. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but we're all wondering if you'll be voting on what we just spoke about today, or if that's something that happens later.
So there's no reason to vote on anything you presented because there's no action on the board to do anything contrary to what we continue to do daily.
There's nothing to like
Nothing.
motion to change, to remove the private split.
No, there's no formal action to that, but, and I guess I should have told you that in front, but it was kind of nice to hear what everybody had to say, so.
We haven't had anyone.
It's not my week to watch them. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, they just derailed me. I've lost my train of thought. Roll call vote.
A roll call vote.
Can we record the motion and second? I got Sheila's the motion or
So can we repeat who made the motion?
Sheila, and who made
Sheila.
the second? Thank you, Sabrina.
Sabrina, okay. Roll call vote. Sabrina? Aye. Sheila?
Aye.
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 Okay. We're all there. Motion approved unanimous. Finance report, Lori.
In your package, you'll see the finance report as of the end of, I'll wait a second till the doors
Yeah.
are closed.
Well, we can't close them all the way. I want to note that we cannot close
Close
those
them all.
doors.
No.
You can't close them all the way. Because we're an open door meeting. It's a
Yes.
public meeting. You have to have at least one of the doors
It's
open.
open.
She got it? Does she have the door open? Thank you. Okay.
I mean, I would like clarification on that. At the school board, we close our doors in the boardroom all the time.
We've always been. told
Legally,
had to
we
leave them
cannot
open.
close a door.
I've never heard that.
An open door is a theoretical. It doesn't mean all these doors need to remain open. The public can come in and out anytime.
As long as it's not locked, they are welcome to come in, and it was advertised as a meeting, yeah.
Well, I think that's a problem for another day, but I do
Yeah.
agree that, having them not secured is probably sufficient under the intent of the law, that the public can come and go freely, but. Please, just put that down under mine. They
Make
can
sure they're
come-
not locked.
They'll just
Okay.
come get me.
We could
What is
post
that, the
somebody
Public
at the
Access
door.
Counselor of Indiana?
That's who would come after you. Luke Britt.
Okay, finance report, Lori.
For the end of the month of May 31st, 2024, we had an appropriation balance of $10,601,194.18, or approximately 63% of the budget left for the year. And that's about 5% ahead of schedule if we were to expend it out a month at a time.
5% being expended more than budgeted or less than budgeted?
Less than budgeted. Yep. So it would be, it says 63%. If we were spending a 12th a month, throughout the year, it'd be 58%. For investments and balances to date for May 31st, 2024, in our 4 funds held at the Trust Indiana State Investment Pool, we have a total of $10,676,100. And our average daily yield for May was 5.3428%. We're down 0.1%, almost 0.2% since April. And for the year to date, average daily yield was 5.3822, or down less than a tenth, or not quite 0.08%. And you need to appoint the treasurer pro tem.
Dr. Stubbs?
Would be happy to serve. For the approval of bills for June 13th, 2024. We have total invoices of $841,832.58. We have payroll dated May 3rd for $344,161.89. May 17th for $344,659.54, and May 31st for $512,801.52. That is made in the form of a motion.
Hear a motion?
Second?
There's a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Other business, McCullough renovation change order number 4. Is that you, Scott?
I'm trying to get it up right here. Now I have to. Here. If I was smart, I would have had Lamont do this, because he's more familiar with it than I am. Change order 4 is the final, should be the final change order for McCullough, which included demolition for $1,931, additional track material of $220 that was for a display case. Book drop credit is a credit of $1,832. Curb replacement credit was a credit in the amount of $2,230. The parking lot repaving was for $110,800, and parking lot striping of $975,000 were the change order items. For the total amount of the change orders of $108,914.
I hear a motion to approve.
So moved.
There's a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
I do have a quick question. I'm assuming that since we get a credit for the striping, that the new striping is included in the repaving
Correct.
contract? Okay.
Additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Recommendation of owner's rep services. Heather, are you doing that one? Or
I guess I can.
She can do that one.
Sure. So, let me. So this is a memo requesting, we did an RFP for owner's rep services. And we received 2 proposals back. We brought the proposals to the Building and Grounds Committee, who looked over them, and we discussed what that work would look like or what it could look like. So we are recommending the hiring of the Veritas Group for Owners Representative Services. It didn't specifically say this in the memo, but it is our intent to enter into a contract with them for an exploratory period of a few months as we discuss what our projects are, the work we're already doing with MKM, and where that scope of work will lead us. So at the beginning, it will be exploratory work only to decide which projects they will be working with us on.
do I hear a motion to approve? So moved. It's a motion
Second?
and a second. Questions or discussion?
I do have a couple of questions maybe. One, has legal reviewed the contract?
We don't have a contract
Correct,
at this point in time.
It's not a
This is-
contract to review?
Correct.
No, we've received the RFP. We will have to have the contract let to us. We'll have Steve review it. And you can either authorize me to sign that contract based off of this resolution, or we can bring it back to you at a future meeting to ratify, basically, however you'd like to
I
do it.
will kind of leave that to the pleasure of the board. I would be a little bit nervous about entering into a contract with an entity we've not contracted with before
Mhm.
without knowing what that contract is. And my question would be, if we're gonna, this is exploratory, it was presented to the Building and Grounds as an hourly type of exploratory. I assume there's an hourly rate. I just don't want the library to, I mean, if if things go in a direction where we think exploratorily that's not the way we want to go,
Mhm.
that we're not obligated contractually to any
Mhm.
other services or anything.
Mhm.
And I would just, I'm comfortable with you, with the board saying that personally as a one individual member, as long as legal has reviewed it and there is no binding obligation for us to even pay anything or enter into any services. It would just be whatever hourly rate, you know.
That's
But
exactly how the scope of the RFP was much the same way.
Yep.
We talked about and not to exceed monthly as we decided what the scope of the projects would be. And then much like our other contracts, although this is technically professional services, we always send them through Steve. We've
Steve.
sent every MKM contract through Steve, looks over it. And we may decide to do contract by contract each scope of the work for each
Correct.
project.
Mhm.
Specifically, if we start looking at projects that we're already doing with MKM now, like North Park or Central, because there are some contractual obligations we will have to uphold with MKM. And so that is where those conversations with Veritas, MKM, and us, if there's a role for Veritas to play in those, and if there's not, all of those things. So
Correct.
contract by contract, I think for a project could be a way that we go as well, just so we can line out what Veritas does on each project instead of a holistic approach, if that makes sense.
it does, and it complements what was already shared with the building and grounds. I just was asking about the contract and then this
Yes.
action item to hire without us having a contractor reviewed it, so.
I think it would be appropriate if the maker of the motion would amend their motion to encapsulate Rick's comments about who is authorized to execute the agreement and the caveat that it goes through our legal first. So that that's, in the minutes for the record. And I don't remember who made the motion.
Sheila.
Sheila?
Yeah.
Sheila's amended it to reflect the comments that Rick made. Rick, I believe you seconded it.
Yes.
I think we've covered that. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You have a question?
I believe Sabrina
Oh,
had
Sabrina,
discussion.
go ahead. Sorry.
That's what I get for being on the end. So I don't know if there is, it used to be, for the state of Indiana, there's still set aside for minority contractors? Or is that something that is law, or is that something that companies just do or organizations do to set aside for minority contractors, especially those here in Evansville? Because I do know that there are some who they don't have the capacity to do large jobs, but when you break them down, they can do smaller jobs. And I know that the city has a list.
Yeah,
That is my question.
I've seen the list that the city maintains. The city county used to maintain that,
Yeah.
the Meeby list.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Minority owned business, yes. So that is my question, like, is there a clause that we can at least, I don't know if there is, if it's legal, you can't do it.
No, I didn't.
I was asking a question.
Okay.
That was my question,
Yeah.
like, is there something that we can,
So,
intentionally look for minority contractors within some of our smaller?
so from my perspective, absolutely, I think we can do that as an organization and we would want to do that. I don't know that as part of what we're doing right now in this motion, that is germane to what we're doing right here, but I think when it comes point of time when we're taking on these projects, that's the time and the point that we would want to break those down and say, we want to break these down into smaller pieces, whatever works out, and give other folks opportunities to do that. Or we could also structure that into the bid documents requiring our primary contractors and bidders to do a certain percentage or whatever. I mean, we do have that ability to do that.
Well, thank you for the discussion, and so now we'll know when it comes up, we can discuss it. So thanks.
So I think we were at, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Oh, my favorite, the 2025 proposed budget calendar.
Your favorite.
Well, it's my favorite because it's your favorite.
So in front of you, you have the proposed budget calendar for 2025, which includes a meeting date for our finance committee in which the budget will be first presented. That hasn't been set yet. So we have the week of July 22nd through the 26th earmarked at this point in time. Our proposed budget will be then emailed or mailed out to the full library board on July 31st. Our first reading of the full library by the full library board will be on August the 8th. We haven't received our DLGF budget workshop date yet. But as soon as it's given to us, we're always ready for it. On August 31st, then we'll have to submit our notice to taxpayers of the proposed budget and tax levies and the public hearing date, as well as the adoption date of our budget on Gateway, the public Indiana State Public Transparency site. And then in September, we will be going to the city council to do a budget presentation. We're not required to, based on the fact that we will not be in binding review, but we, as a courtesy to our fiscal body, go and present our budget and what that entails for the year. As soon as we have that date, usually the first Monday in September, we'll add that to this calendar. Our public hearing then here at EVPL will be on September 12th, in line with the regular board meeting, and then the adoption meeting will follow October the 10th. And then everything will be submitted to, once adopted, submitted to the DLGF via Gateway.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the calendar as presented.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Emergency evacuation procedures.
This is informational, and Sabrina had asked that this be put on the agenda. This is something that we've been working on specifically very recently as we added AEDs into our buildings. You can see in your documents that we listed 2 drafts. Specifically, we did list the Browning rooms since we are here right now. These are documents that will be framed essentially and put in all of our meeting rooms so that any public entities or groups who use our spaces know our evacuation routes and where some of these things are located in the building. Of course, there is at the top, it says if there's an emergency, we do encourage them to right away call 911, let them know where they are. And so it does give the address of every building, whatever meeting room it is in. And if it's not an emergency regarding 911, to find an EVPL staff member to assist them. But it does list out all of our fire extinguishers, the evacuation routes, where first aid kits are, and our AEDs as well. And fire poles, I guess, as well.
I do have one question about the Browning room evacuation. So I did notice there's only one two-way arrow, I think only one two-way arrow in this, the whole thing. And I was wondering about that. It's right there through popular materials. And the reason for, instead of evacuating one way, but evacuating two ways?
So I guess it shows, depending on where you are in that space, you could go either way. If you're down here in teen zone, you're probably gonna wanna go this way, right? Cause you're gonna
But
have a
they-
closer exit
got
this
you.
way. But
But if you
where
were
you're
here,
located in here,
that's what I was wondering.
correct. Technically here, you would go out either this door or you
Right,
just
and
go
keep
out
going.
directly.
But
Yeah.
there's also an arrow, it's hard to see. There's an arrow to the right of the yellow circle pointing toward back into the library. And then there's a exit door through by the cafe garden.
I need a bigger iPad, probably.
Do you want, I have a copy here.
No, I've got copies too. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
And so this, the staff, I take it that they've been trained or either at least advised in the different branches to know what they are. So in the case, and are these available too at each branch?
They will be. These are in draft version. We're finalizing all of them. They're not in there yet. As they're not up here, but we hope to have them probably in the next week, 2 weeks, Heather. And yes, so this is also new. We just did the AED training and we hadn't placed those in the locations yet. So this is letting all of our staff know too where those were placed. Although I think Abby sent an email. She just walked out,
yep.
of course she did, about where all those located.
Yep.
So we did that training. This follows up with those trainings.
Yep, and also where all the emergency kit backpacks
Yep.
are hanging too.
Yep.
And with the training, will you have a time where you actually enact that?
So at our fall staff day, we do a half day here and a half day at the locations.
Okay.
And in the afternoon, each location goes through all of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually your manager is going to walk you through it when we send
Right,
this out
right,
anyway, but it is the time
But
that is
that's
specifically
important. It's
set
one
aside
thing
to go
have it on
through.
paper, it's another
Yep.
thing to actually know by doing it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Well done. Announcements.
Announcements, just a couple here. Summer reading is going like gangbusters. The staff is doing a tremendous job. I mean, we are 12 days in, 13 days into summer reading. Already lost a day this month. And they've almost caught the entire last year's summer reading numbers in 13 days. The staff is just phenomenal. I can't say enough about everyone at every location, our programming librarians, Erica, everyone is doing a great job. And if you haven't made it to the McCullough branch yet to see how nice that is, please stop by when you're on that side of town because it looks amazing. And that first day, there was over 650 people that ran through it the first day. And I think those numbers are probably staying, not probably quite that high, but pretty high because it's amazing. It's an amazing place. The kids in that children's area, it is so neat to see them in the cubbies and seeing them with all the new furniture and the new book. Yeah, it's a really, really neat library. And that's all I
Failed
have.
to mention correspondence. So the correspondence did go around. I think everybody's had a chance to look at it.
Mm-mm.
So Rick will take that as homework.
I will.
And the only thing I would say along the lines of McCullough is, a lot of projects, somebody's always gonna say something negative or complain about it. And I literally have had nothing but people stop and say, the McCullough branch is fantastic.
Yeah.
I had somebody yesterday while I was standing around at my office come up and say, that's my home library. I grew up in that library. I went back yesterday and it's beautiful and I love it and thank you. So, well
Yeah.
done.
Staff did a great job with it.
You have a question, Eric, if we got a moment? Because Sabrina and I have discussed this several times. And she brought it up again here tonight. Would it be the job of the budget committee or another committee? I mean, what would we do to start looking at our procurement practice as it relates to MBE, WBE, and some type of commitment there? We have had that conversation several times. And I do know what others have done. I'm aware of the MBE, WBE board. EVSC has a couple of folks who sit on that board. And there are documents out there. What would we do to visit what the library could do as far as a
I will
commitment with our bid
Steve answer
procedures?
eventually, but essentially what we would need is a resolution from the board stating what you would like to do, that you'd like to have a minority preference within our RFPs with whatever that preference may be chosen by the board. So that way, when we go to RFP or to bid that.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm kind of thinking prior to that, what would we need to do to show the board what options there are?
Okay.
We could make a resolution here tonight that
Sure.
we do this kind of commitment, but the board's not aware of what all the range of commitments
Sure.
we could do. Like, I know there are just good faith commitments in bids where, you ask your contractors, your main contractors to have subcontractors who are MBE, WBEs. You could have a 10% commitment to MBE, WBE. There are all these range, but what would we do as a board, as a committee
As a
to?
board, you could ask the library administration to research this, to come up with examples of minority preference in bidding and projects in purchasing. So we can bring that information back to you so you could have it to help form your policy or your motion for coming up with that motion.
I don't want, go ahead, Steve.
Years ago, this came to the board, probably 10 or 15 years ago. And there was a policy adopted by this board as to what we are supposed to do. And I don't know if I can dig that. I don't know if you,
It's before my time, so it's more than 13 years.
well, it probably, it was a big issue at one time, and I know the board tackled the issue. I'm not, that's 13 years for me too, so.
We think it's still an active policy?
Well, we have a wonderful administrative assistant who loves to dig into our old files and do some research. So sounds like a great Joshua
I may have
project.
a copy of it in my
Yeah,
office too.
Let's
so.
just have less than a 40-page report on it.
So,
Less than 40 pages, Joshua.
so you asked if it was still in effect. I have found in doing some other research for other policies, we didn't always adopt an official policy, but there was a motion, and not even a necessarily resolution, but a motion and acceptance in a board meeting that we're going to do something in a certain way.
Okay.
So it might be that that's all we have and it's gotten lost in the years
Well, maybe
of
we could just
minutes.
ask administration to review that, do a little research.
Yeah.
And then maybe get that information to the board with that. So we could at least review where we've been.
I would like to state, when we send out RFPs, and for the past at least 5 or 6 years, we put in our RFPs, we don't have any requirements, but we do put in there that, we will recognize and we, appreciate any minority of any, we put them all in there, all the acronyms in there. And we even ask, like, when we're doing bids, and they will provide us with their certificate when they have them. I know when we selected our architectural firm for the Master Facilities Plan, we asked for that information. And we actually, part of the reason why we chose MKM was because of their diversity in their subcontracting. Now, again, we have no requirements, and if you want to start requiring that, that's fine, but yes, we need to get to a point where we have that in a resolution, and then we can actually put it in the RFPs and bids, that it's a requirement that we have certain percentages or certain subcontracting.
There again, I think that's what I'm really looking for, and I don't want to speak for other board members, but we've had these conversations. And I think just knowing what the range of possibilities are, what the range of MBE and WBE contractors who do certain work that we take advantage of may be, and then what other libraries and other entities have done.
We can even, even if they don't have it, we can always ask for anything in an RFP for proof that they did look into local minorities and business owned, and if they could not get one on their subcontractor team, why that didn't. So we can ask for all of those things. And I think sometimes that might be what we also want to see, because if you don't have one, why don't you have one?
Right.
What was the hiccup? Was it that they were too busy or they couldn't take on this project? But proof that they tried, I think, is also something that we could put in. Again, we can put any of that into an RFP.
Thanks.
I want to thank Rick for bringing it up. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I appreciate what you said, because I've been saying it for 6 years and it's kind of fallen on deaf ears. So, we talked about, and I won't go back to revisit all of it, but certainly this is the conversation that I've been having, because I served on the WeBe board at the city, like, for years. So I know that there are contractors out there. I asked, even when we did the large contractor, to have that set aside for that. And so maybe today it was just clearer. So again, I just want to say thank you for your voice, and hopefully we can get something that is, what is the word? You know what I'm talking about? That is going to be, that will stick, and that we can at least make use of the minority contractors that are in the city, that, again, they can't do the large jobs, but they certainly can do some of the smaller jobs, and it will impact their livelihood and the city as well. So thank you.
So to rephrase what I've heard, and what I think the course of action is that the board is officially asking the administration to first research what's in existence that we should or should not be doing because it's already in place. Probably a review of our current procurement policies and where they stand. I think it would behoove us to take a look at the city and county's policy and their lists,
Hmm.
as well as the EVSC's procurement list and
Mhm.
and their procurement policy. And it would also probably behoove us legally to see what the statutes actually say, how we can proceed to make this part of our normal operating process. I think those were the things that we said we wanted to accomplish from this. Bring all that together, have a discussion, and probably formulate not just a motion and a vote, but a procurement policy that includes it.
And then we said in the master plan, we did mention something like this, and so you said that the contractor had that in there. I would like to see if they utilize any minority contractors in the amount of work that they've already done. That would be interesting to see, because I looked them up online and I didn't see any minority utilization. That was just me. So maybe they incorporated some of that since then.
That was that was the past project, the actual master facilities plan. They subcontract several of the pieces out.
Yeah, I just like to
Yeah.
see it. So thank you.
All right, I don't think there's anything, I mean, I don't think we need a motion on that. I think we're pretty clear. I will call for the adjournment, unless there's any other just announcements. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
I believe we've got an executive session scheduled.
Yes.
In the
We're
morning.
going upstairs.
Upstairs, right?
Yes.